The Joe Rogan Experience.
You want to talk about little people? Do you want to talk about the elves?
Elves?
The
Like
elves.
which ones?
The machine elves.
Oh, okay.
Because I want to talk to you about it because I've been doing some research about this.
Research?
Yeah.
What kind of research? Taking drugs?
I would never take drugs.
Oh.
Drugs. You know, if someone's on drugs, they say, what's wrong with him? Is he on drugs?
Right.
Is he a drug addict? You would never want
Crazy
to do that.
people.
Only crazy people do
Yeah.
drugs.
Yeah.
So do you think you've done more to popularize DMT than anybody else? Do you think that these elves are real?
I don't know if real's the right word. The question is, we look at consciousness and we look at like an intelligent entity as being in a physical carbon-based form that's in front of you that you can shake hands with or give a hug to.
Right.
When you experience what happens when you take dimethyltryptamine, you throw all that out the window because the environment itself is not it's not defined. It's fluid, meaning that it's changing constantly, but yet it seems far more vivid and far more real
Right.
than this life right now. And there are these things that are there and they communicate with you and they seem to be really communicating with you, and they seem to also know you, know all of your
Right.
bullshit, and be able to see right through you.
Yes.
But they don't seem to be you. They seem to be something else.
Right.
That's all we know.
Right. But I'm asking you what you think.
But that's what I think. That's all we know. There's no, you can't, like you could say that's a well of souls. That's what happens when you die. That's the afterlife. That's a parallel dimension. These are aliens. That's how they can communicate with us. They're non-physical life forms that exist in these realms of light. We don't know. It's just, you're just guessing, right?
Well, I've been talking to people, and I've been told the theory that we are 3D beings, but they're 4D beings. So that we're 3D projections of 4D beings. So when you're breaking the veil, you are perceiving the 4D space.
Maybe. But that's all you could ever say. It's really just a maybe. You know, when people say, I know what that is, I am communicating with the afterlife, or I know what that is, these are the real aliens. This is what happens when you're sleeping and people have these alien abduction experiences. What they really are having is an endogenous DMT dump because your brain does produce DMT.
Right.
But new research is showing that it's not just the brain that produces DMT. That it's they used to think it was the pineal gland, but now they think literally the whole brain is producing it, and the liver and the lungs. So it's part of the human body. It's something that the human body makes. They've been able to isolate it in specific organs, but they think this really bizarre, super potent psychedelic compound is everywhere, and they also think it's responsible for dreaming. They think there's an amount of it that comes out while you're sleeping, while you're in heavy REM sleep. This is speculative. They're trying to, but the thing is, there's parallels, right? One of the parallels to the psychedelic states and dreams is that they're very difficult to recall. You wake up and it's the most vivid. You come out of the experience, right? It's the most vivid thing that you've ever experienced in your life, and then moments later, you're like, I don't remember what happened. It's just like a dream.
So you've never had, because everyone who takes it talks about the spirit molecule, right? How much it affects their understanding of reality, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
You've never had lingering effects from the DMT experience cross over into meat space?
You mean like tripping for no reason?
Or just seeing, the way I've been told is that, like, if you're on a highway, right, and there's all these billboards, you don't notice what those billboards are, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's suppose you're on a highway in another country and you don't understand what those billboards are if you want to, because they're another language. After you take it, you are able to see those signs and perceive them and read them. So that things in real life that you would previously been oblivious to, you now pick up on connections that you previously couldn't.
Well, I guess you could say that anytime you have a paradigm shifting moment in your life where, I mean, you could have this from a near death experience or the loss of a loved one where you're forced to reevaluate everything and look at things through fresh eyes, that anything like that is going to force you, anything that's just so titanically bizarre and ultimately incredibly different than your average day on this earth, this thing that changes you. It's going to force you to take things in. I would look at it that way more than I would look at it like all of a sudden you can like see these billboards in another country and recognize these patterns. I mean, you're just probably just being more aware. Marijuana does that for me more than anything.
Okay.
You know, especially edible marijuana. Edible marijuana for me is like one of the most reality highlighting experiences, because it makes me think about the buildings. Like, this is I just take these fucking things for granted.
Yeah.
There's a 64-story thing in front of me, and there's these human catacombs, and people are shitting into these tubes, and they go down through the water, and there's pipes everywhere with human shit, and then there's electricity pumping through everything, and everyone's got a TV or a PlayStation running, and we're all just juiced into this machine. And
Yeah, the Matrix.
yeah, listen, I think of people as human batteries all the time. I really do. I think of people as consuming currency producing batteries. Like, that's what we're consuming things, taking things in, and then we're also through our work all day long, so many people just doing something they hate to do just to create currency and then to add to the system and to purchase more things. And you just see them sitting in front of the machine, then they go home, sitting in front of the TV, sitting in front of the screen on their car, and we're constantly in this state of consuming and producing, and then adding to this weird techno society that we live in.
Okay, let me ask.
That's all from weed.
Okay, but let me ask you another question.
Okay, please
Let's
do.
suppose I drew in a piece of paper. I drew you, and I drew me, and I drew a house, right?
Okay.
And I said, what does what correspond to? And you'd point to that, you'd say, that's me. And you'd point to that, you'd say, that's Malice. That house has no correspondence in 3D space. It's a theoretical house, right?
Okay.
What if some of these people that you're talking about don't exist in the 4D space? What if they are 3D representations that don't have a representation in 4D space, just like that 2D house I just drew doesn't really exist?
Okay, so what if they're like, what is that?
NPCs, yeah. What if they literally don't have a higher form of existence?
Isn't that like your ego fucking with you, though?
Well, that's why I'm asking you, because apparently when people do a lot of DMT, they see things like this.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, I wonder. I've met people that see things on DMT that were very ego driven. Like I knew a guy who had a crazy DMT trip, and he felt like he had a team that was working for him in this other dimension, and they were all about him, and they're helping him, and they're all together with him, and that, like, you know, his life, he has destiny in his life, and he has to fulfill his destiny, and they're working to fulfill his. I'm like, this is like some weird ego-driven idea of what's happening in this space. That he's like sort of he's forcing whatever that experience was to fit this mold of what he thinks of himself. And by the way, it wasn't very accomplished at the time, right? So thinks of this as like, it's, you know, delusions of grandeur,
Of
right?
course, yes, I know well.
Yeah. But this is, I think, a kind of some sort of a reconciliation of that. Like, he's sort of trying to figure out why it's not happening the way he wants it to happen and what is wrong, but yet also tripping and seeing these entities and saying, oh, they're all with me, they're going to help me, they're working with me on all of my plans, and this is all my team and another life. It was very strange. So I never felt like that at all. I've felt every time I've done it, it's like, here's all your bullshit.
Oh yeah,
Look at you, loser. It's highlighted.
no, it's never
all.
like you're so great and
No.
we're so honored to be talking to you, Joe Rogan. It's like, dude, get over yourself. No,
Yeah, you ain't shit. Yeah.
But I thought that there are some people who basically become chiropractors of reality. So if he's like, you're going to help me achieve my goals and you're behind me, that's nonsense.
Yeah.
But if he's there to help them achieve their goals, that's a whole very different perspective.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So like that kind of thing where like just awesome things happen to you, not what you would want, but you're basically an agent of bringing about positivity and kindness in the world.
Yeah. Well, I think the more you can do good things, right? The more you can be an agent of kindness and positivity, the more you're going to literally spread out the fingers and
Yes.
branches of love.
Right.
And if you do that, and then you do have psychedelic experiences, I would imagine if you've made a positive shift like that, your experience would be much more positive when you go into that dimension.
Right.
Yeah. Catch new episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience for free only on Spotify. Watch back catalog JRE videos on Spotify, including clips. Easily, seamlessly switch between video and audio experience. On Spotify, you can listen to the JRE in the background while using other apps and can download episodes to save on data cost, all for free. Spotify is absolutely free. You don't have to have a premium account to watch new JRE episodes. You just need to search for the JRE on your Spotify app. Go to Spotify now to get this full episode of the Joe Rogan Experience.